entertainmentbuddha.com.
Now everyone, it is Matt and Nick, and we are back for a new episode of EntertainmentBoo.com's Star Wars Time Show. You know where you can get that? You can get it on the best podcast for Star Wars fans and pop culture geeks, which you just have to search and it will come up. I'm telling you, it's on iTunes. You can find it. So anyways, Nick and I are here tonight. We're ready to talk. We're what, Nick? 4 weeks in a row now. We're becoming regular broadcasters, if you will. We used to be on a bi-weekly schedule. But with the way Star Wars news is rolling out, homie, we got to hit these mics every night. So, it would be great if we do it every night, but at that point, someone would have to pay us some money because we wouldn't be able to hold down real jobs. So, anyways, we are here, and we are going to steer you towards some of this week's more important Star Wars news. All right, so, Nick, I think the first thing I want to get into are the few little stories that came out this week about a new book coming out on October 3rd. It's a long title, so bear with me, people. It's called 40 Stories Celebrating 40 Years of Star Wars from a Certain Point of View. And we all know who made that line famous. That's our man, Old Ben. And so, Nick, we got a few tasty little nuggets out of this book this week. The first being, really, its release. You know, this thing I don't think has been discussed until this week. But B, just some of the content that's going to be in it. So, for you guys listening, this book is literally 40 different short stories spanning the entire Star Wars saga. From 40 different authors, and a lot of the authors are authors that have either worked on Star Wars novels or are part of the Star Wars story group now. So, I don't know, man. I guess what's your take on the book, and in particular the first tidbit we got with, kind of Obi-Wan's after-death adventures?
I think that this book is a really, really fun idea, if nothing else. I mean, The only other thing that we have that's similar to this in pop culture in any way is kind of ESPN's 30 for 30 series, which was built off of like ESPN's 30th anniversary. You have these different directors doing different sports pieces following sports history and stuff. So now we have a similar project for Star Wars where you have 40 different writers celebrating the 40th year anniversary of Star Wars. And they're all writing about very interesting things. Like you said, the first one that we're really going to talk about is written from the perspective of Old Ben, ObiWan Kenobi, and it's after he died. So it's essentially him explaining, what it is to be a Force ghost, right? I mean, what is his existence? How did he get to that point in his life? What does he find to be his purpose?
Well, dude, just read the quote.
Yeah, I mean, my name is ObiWan Kenobi and I'm dead. I know how that sounds, crazy old Ben with his crazy old stories, but this isn't crazy. This is happening, at least I think it is. And
boom, right there. I'm ready. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't like to read, people. I mean, honestly, I think the last time I read a book was getting upwards of 8 years ago, like physically read a book, and this excites me. I like the idea of this book in general, especially because it's going to focus on clearly major characters and major moments in their threads.
Yeah, I mean, this is stuff that we've never heard before. Like the book suggests, from a certain point of view, we've never really seen movies or we've never seen stories from a lot of these characters' points of view. And we assume that the only way that we would get anything like this is through the standalone films. But now with this book releasing, we're getting a lot more information on characters that we clearly love. I mean, ObiWan Kenobi is a central character in the Star Wars franchise. And we're just finding out more information about all of these people that we followed for so long. And when you first showed this to me, because this, I didn't see it until you kind of sent me the link for it, my first thought was, well, this isn't canon. This is just kind of people writing, stories about characters. And I looked at the Amazon pre-order page for it, and it says, it's showing you different points of view of characters from the original trilogy, and reimagining things. So when I saw that word reimagine, I was like, oh well, this is probably just not considered canon. But the more that I'm looking at it, and the more that I'm reading these descriptions, I really do think that this is...
I think it's legit, dude.
Yeah, it's actually like serious canon that is going to be...
They're just moments we did not get to see in a movie, but they are moments we may have possibly briefly heard about, or they're just going to fill in gaps that couldn't be shown in the film.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when in the films would we have gotten a moment to catch up with dead Obi-Wan and just kind of see what's going through his head? I mean, there was no opportune moment for that in the film, so we're always following Luke, Leia, and Han. And, we never really got the chance to see where this all came from. So this book is going to give us a lot of insight into a lot of characters that we really haven't been able to dig into.
Right here, I'm reading one of the authors, and she wrote a story on Breha Organa. I mean, who even fucking knew who that was? I mean, I'm assuming that's Bail's wife and Leia's surrogate mother. But yeah, I think this book has a ton of potential. And again, it's coming out October 3rd. It's a Del Rey book. It's going to have 40 short stories from 40 different authors, and most of the authors have, at some point in time, contributed to the Star Wars saga. And I don't know, I really think these little short stories are going to stand as canon.
Yeah. Now the more that I'm reading it, the more I'm agreeing with you. And even seeing the names, like you said, 40 different authors, the names of some of these authors. I mean, Pablo Hidalgo, everybody knows, who he is.
Gary Whitta, I mean,
these are legit, Star Wars writers, Star Wars story group members and stuff like that. And the one that Hidalgo's writing is about Tarkin. It's called, The Verge of Greatness. And the quote from that is, "You may fire when ready." Everybody knows that iconic line from Tarkin. And then it says, "Tarkin said at long last, and he allowed himself the briefest of smiles." Like, these little snippets, they're all in tweets, too. So, like, these little snippets are incredibly, enticing. They make you want to read these stories.
Totally.
I think it's...
Because you're getting into the mind of some of the more prominent main characters and secondary characters. Still prominent characters in the overall saga, but someone that didn't command a ton of screen time. But to me, Tarkin, especially with his callback in the Rogue One, he's a huge character.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have one here about Lando. You have one. I mean, we've already talked about one about Obi-Wan. We have one about Breha. The next one that we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth is one about Yoda. I mean, these are all central characters. I mean, Vader. There's another one that I see that we're going to be diving into a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of awesome stories in here. And to know that they're all kind of in digestible format and short stories, they're not actual full novels, and you're still going to get a pretty full view into this character's background and story. I think that's an incredible format. And now at this point, I'm all in. I'm going to be pre-ordering this book, and October 3rd, I believe, is the release date.
I hope someone can read it to me.
Is there an audiobook form? Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what I'm looking for, because there's no way I'm going to read it. I'll tell you right now, as much as I love Star Wars and this book definitely interests me, I'm not going to fucking read it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure that they have an audiobook form. I mean, nowadays, every book that releases has an audiobook form that's with it. And if, at the very least, what you can do is have like a robotic, voice read it to you through like Alexa.
I'll have Siri read it to me.
Yeah. But all right, so we hit on the Obi-Wan story that's going to be coming up.
Right. So it naturally leads into the one we found today, which is big to me, and I mean, if you think about it, dude, everything we've heard about the character we're going to discuss I mean, this character's been set up as supposedly having a pretty major arc in this new trilogy, but yada, yada, yada. Let's just get into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the next story here is, of course, based around Yoda, and everybody knows that the Chosen One theory is, the biggest theory in Star Wars. It's the Chosen One is supposed to save the galaxy, bring balance to the Force, and everything like that. And for all intents and purposes, ObiWan Kenobi and most people who watched Star Wars, the original trilogy, believe that Luke Skywalker was the Chosen One.
Yeah, even Obi-Wan, and this is where things get weird with this theory. Even Obi-Wan, in just this year in Star Wars Rebels, called Luke the Chosen One.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have this story coming in from Yoda in the same book that we've been talking about, and apparently Yoda was not on that train. He was not on that same train of thought. He thought that there was another Chosen One that was alive at the same time as Luke, and he told Obi-Wan. He told Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan said, "I'm gonna train this kid." Yoda told him, "I don't think that Luke is the Chosen One." He said that Leia was the Chosen One because at that time when Obi-Wan was ready to go out and start training Luke, Leia was already a prominent political figure. She was working. She had already put together the rebellion, helped to form the rebellion. We saw that in video games, in the Force Unleashed video games, but also...
well, no, it pops up again in Rebels.
Yeah, so,
I mean, she plays a role in that.
So we know that she's a prominent member of a prominent political force, I guess you would say. We also know that she's a Force user. She may not know it yet, just like Luke, but she had an equal chance of being quote-unquote the Chosen One as Luke did, and Yoda was very much convinced that she was the Chosen One instead of Luke. So what do you think about that?
Well, I honestly think it's very interesting because if you really think about the character of Yoda, especially now that we've seen the prequels, he was clearly skeptical of Anakin from day one.
Oh, yeah.
He really didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to convince them, he's too old. You can't train this kid. Just let it go.
So, to me, that was essentially him saying, like, yeah, Qui-Gon, you make a lot of good points, but he ain't the Chosen One.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I kind of see how Yoda, with that type of mindset, especially what happened with Anakin, you gotta remember that's also why people make the case, well, that's why Obi-Wan in Rebels was saying Luke was a Chosen One, because he ultimately knew what happened to the man he knew as Anakin, but in the end he never foresaw what was going to happen with Anakin. Like, he couldn't see that he had the incapacity to see or even understand that this man Anakin would be able to return to himself after the atrocities he committed and did as he made his turn to the dark side and became Darth Vader. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, after that point,
Obi-Wan just was like, there's no way this guy's the Chosen One ever.
It seems like the Chosen One theory in Star Wars is one of those ones where it's like everybody's like, oh yeah, it's this person, until it's not that person, and then they have to
exactly. It's
course.
From a certain point of view. I mean, it's also a byproduct of Lucas. It was nothing ever discussed in the original trilogy. It came up in the prequels, and we know what the prequels are. So I mean, it's just a byproduct of that.
Yeah, I mean, but for all since Anakin's fall, and then since Luke's kind of ascension as the paragon of the known universe, I mean, it was kind of assumed that Luke Skywalker is the Chosen One. He took up that mantle. Did he bring balance to the Force? I mean, we had a lengthy conversation about what exactly balance in the Force means.
It's semantics to me. I mean, because you could make an argument that yes, he did, because it was his Force, his ability to smack his dad fucking straight and get rid of the Emperor. But there's also the case, well, no. I mean, ultimately, Vader's the one that killed Palpatine, and that's what brought balance to the Force. And there's also a faction that says, how can you use a term balance when one side is dominant over the other, right?
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, balance does not apply to only Jedi exist.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's more of my point of view, is that for there to be balance, there must be both sides, and I think that was
and you got to master both sides, and ultimately, one would think that means you use it for good. But to me, there can be no balance without the light and the dark.
Exactly, and I mean, this was even discussed, at length in Star Wars: The Clone Wars TV series. There was the mother or the father daughter brother arc. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but there was basically a trilogy of episodes that covered, Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan being kind of pulled into this Force planet, and at that moment we discover that what Anakin's true purpose was as a Force user was to take the place of this father figure and keep the brother and the sister from kind of battling each other, and literally kind of hold the Force in balance. And so that's another way that it's been explained to us in canon in the Star Wars TV shows. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can approach it. I mean, it's even up for debate now. I mean, clearly the Force is still not in balance in Episode 7. It's even we're probably not even going to achieve balance by the end of Episode 9, because I don't think that's. I don't even know if that's like a natural state of the Force or of the universe. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing.
I mean, that could also be why we're going to the point of the Jedi should end.
Yeah.
You probably can't have full Jedi or full Sith and have true balance with the Force.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want to get in there, there's that fan theory out there of the Grey Jedi, and that's supposedly like the ultimate.
Yeah, the one who has mastered both dark and light side of the Force, and
without succumbing
to either, really. I mean, kind of staying in a neutral state. And I mean, if you think about it, maybe that's kind of what Luke is trying to accomplish. Like, he now looks at the role of Force users in the galaxy as not to defeat quote unquote evil, but to stay as neutral forces, and then but still have mastery over both sides of the Force, which is why he's staying on this planet of Acto. Like, he feels now like, well, if I'm to bring true balance to the Force, then I can't be involved for either side, because if I put weight on one side, then the other side is out of balance. So
fucking Luke.
I mean, there's a lot of just interesting conversations around the entirety of balance of the Force. What does it mean? What could it mean?
How anal do you want to get around the definition of the word? And like we've both said 1,000 times just now, and we agree on it, I have a hard time believing that you can use that term and one side is predominant over the other. It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly, yeah. So going back to the original point of this, Yoda believing that Leia was really the chosen one, and then you have on the other side Obi-Wan believing that Luke was the chosen one. And then we also get the line at the end of Episode 5 when Luke takes off to go save his friends, go save Leia, go save Han from Cloud City. He takes off and Obi-Wan's ghost kind of says something to the effect of, there he goes, he could be in trouble here. And then Yoda says, don't worry, there's another.
If you even think about the concept of that scene, that just goes to show you that George had no clue what the prequels were really about at that point in time, because clearly Obi-Wan knows there is another.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know if he thinks that after maybe who knows how Force ghosts work. You know, maybe after you get cut down and you become a Force
you
ghost,
get a little stupid. Yeah, your memory
stuff.
goes away. Yeah, but I mean, come on, dude, you were fucking there. Yeah, like you watched her die.
Yeah, you literally saw the babies be delivered, and you gave Leia to Bail and his wife Breya. So, yeah, a little a little bit of continuity error in that scene, but I mean, no movie franchise is perfect, right? But anyway, yeah, I mean, so these are two of the the main stories, or I guess not even really the main stories, two of the more interesting stories that were spoke about for this new pretty much 40 stories to celebrate 40 years Star Wars from a certain point of view, the book. So if you're interested in that book, I mean, you can go to Amazon now. You can pre-order it. It releases on October 3rd. It seems like it's a pretty cool thing, and I would imagine that listeners would definitely be interested in reading it because it's full of Star Wars golden nuggets, and that's what we all live for.
Yeah, totally. I love gold nuggets, Star Wars nuggets. All right, so moving into the big topic of the night, and one that I hope yields some sort of fruit. And this is a story revolving around the tweet that one at Mark Hamill released earlier this week? Yeah, September 17th, so a few days ago. Can't do the math right now. Yeah, it'd be about 5 days ago, so about Sunday, something like that. So anyways, a fan hit him up and said, "Hey, at Star Wars, today's a great day to release the new trailer for Star Wars The Last Jedi." At Ryan Johnson, at Hamill himself, at John Boyega. 88 days left, hashtag that motherfucker. And of all people to reply to it was none other than Hamill himself, who is Mark Hamill. And he says, "Watch Monday Night Football on Monday, October 9th for no reason in particular."
Yeah. I don't know if that was
I love this guy.
I don't know if it was a Lucasfilm sanctioned response, but
well, no, it clearly wasn't because, as we found out, this tweet was soon deleted. But people on the internet, they don't fuck around. They have screenshots of it. We've got it up on entertainmentboo.com. I mean, you can see the screenshot, so it is legit. And if it's coming from Hamill, there's a good chance it's true. So with that being said, Nick, if we are going to get a trailer October 9th, I mean, obviously you're going to be excited for it.
Oh yeah.
But do you feel like Hamill kind of let the cat out of the bag, or is Disney going to change it now because he did, or do you think we're actually going to get something on the 9th?
I still think we're going to get something on the 9th. I mean, yeah, he may have leaked a little information there, but I don't think it's a reason for Disney to say, okay, well, we have to move it to the 16th now or something like that. So I really think that we're still going to get it on the 9th. The weird thing to me is just like the timing of it. I mean, the 9th is no particular day, not special in any way. The game that's on that night, that Monday Night Football game, is actually kind of a shitty game. It's not great. I mean, it's the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. Neither team is, an outstanding team at the moment. So it's kind of like a low-key Monday night game, and it's not being held on any sort of like significant day for Star Wars that I can recall, but it is. I mean, if this is the case, I mean, we finally have a day for the trailer. We've been talking about it for the last 4 or 5 casts. When are we going to get this trailer? But it's looking like October 9th now. So and then you also said that they're probably also going to announce pre-orders for ticket sales as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how it went down last time. I remember it was a Monday Night Football game, and it was memorable because every major theater chain, their online box offices pretty much crashed.
Oh, yeah, every online box office.
But, I mean, in the end, I still think, at least where I was at in Columbus, Ohio, I mean, it was still pretty easy to get a ticket if you really wanted one. And I'm kind of nervous for this one, dude, because there's a good chance I may be in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be in my home territory, so I'm not going to know my home theaters, and I'm kind of like, oh man, this is giving me a little bit of heartburn.
Yeah. I mean,
because I gotta see it like the 14th or the 15th, so come on. I mean,
there's movie theaters in Las Vegas, right?
Well, of course, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know which are the good ones. I mean, did they do reserved seats? This, that, and are there going to be a bunch of fucking assholes there? Well, at your local theaters, you kind of have the process, the flow down, and you understand the customer base you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. And especially in Las Vegas, where, like, it is just literally a drunken town 24 hours a day.
So, yeah, you get it. So, I mean, it's like, am I going to be in a screening where there's going to be fucking idiots yelling the entire time?
Yeah, that's definitely a question mark. But I think you'll manage. I mean, you'll definitely be in a theater. Is it going to be the best viewing experience ever? Who knows? But I mean, you're going to see it 4 or 5 times after that, more likely.
I was going to say, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to see it in every format it releases in. I mean, I'll see it in 2D, 3D, IMAX 3D, AMC Dolby if they do that. I mean, I'm definitely going to consume it in every variety possible.
Yeah, as will I. I mean, but it's good. I mean, now we know October 10th, so that puts it, we're at 83 days now. Is that where we're sitting? 83 days until release. October 9th will be roughly like 65 days, something like that from release.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah, so I mean, we're getting there. And I mean, do you think that with this new trailer dropping on October 9th, that this is going to be the one and only full-length story trailer for the movie?
I mean, it almost has to be.
Yeah.
Because I feel like by the time we hit November, they're going to be full-on 30-second TV spots nonstop, like at least 15, 16 of them.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly a different marketing strategy than The Force Awakens, like you said. And, I mean, we'll see if it works. I mean, I guarantee you this movie is going to make just a boatload of money. It's not even a question. So maybe Disney approached the Force Awakens in a different way. It was literally the resurrection of Star Wars. So they wanted to just hit the marketing hard. You have
well, they're probably scared. Like, man, are these motherfuckers gonna come back to this shit after those abortions that Lucas released?
Yeah, I mean, the Star Wars fan base was definitely not as electrified, I guess you could say, as it is now. I mean, it had been...
I was traumatized, man. I mean, I literally went into a multiple year, essentially Star Wars ban. I mean, I couldn't watch any of the movies. I really didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, you just kind of stepped away. I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, after kind of the hype of the prequel trilogy settled down and people were able to digest that trilogy for what it was, I mean, it was clear that it was a very, very flawed set of movies. And, and that...
Understatement.
And, a lot of people had a hard time dealing with it because at that point, I mean, in 2005, when Episode 3 released, I mean, we had no reason to believe that there was any more Star Wars movies after that. Lucas hadn't talked about any. This was kind of the wrap-up of, the entire story of Anakin Skywalker, who was the central character.
I'm pretty sure he made it clear, like, this is it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm done.
So, I mean, we knew that there was going to be other Star Wars licenses out there for video games, possibly TV series and stuff like that. But, I mean, in terms of theatrical runs, like, Star Wars was finished. And to know that it went out on that kind of note, I mean, it did. It was a blow to a lot of people. And then 12 years later, not 12 years, I guess, yeah. So, TFA released in 2015, so 10 years later. You get...
It's close enough, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
We're not pros. I mean, we're not mathematicians here.
No, we're Star Wars fans. So, but yeah, I mean, 10 years later, you're right. Disney buys this franchise and they're like, all right, dude, we got to pump pump the blood back into the veins of this fan base. So let's get them going and let's hit them as hard as we can, as fast as we can. And they came out hard. They came out with the Omaze deal where, you know, they advertised that really hard. They came out with a lot of trailers. Like you said, there were 3 full-length story trailers. You had a bunch of TV spots. You had a teaser before the full-length trailers. So maybe that was just like the one-time thing for them. And then everything else is going to be, I don't want to say low-key, but a little bit more normal in terms of how you would market it for a movie. At least that's...
Well, I mean, dude, even I think any major movie has almost 3 full-length trailers and a teaser before it comes out.
I mean, dude, we haven't... I mean, Justice League...
I mean, fucking Blade Runner 2049 has had nearly 15 minutes of prequel just shorts released.
Well, okay, yeah, that's a good point. But that's another one, though, where, like, you're literally, like, Blade Runner has not had any content since the original movie. So, like, you're, again...
Right, but I found that amazing. I mean, I don't know if you're how much you're into Blade Runner or the new movie, but if you're into it, I think there's at least 2 5-minute plus prequels that tell key story beats for characters that you're going to meet in 2049.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been keeping up with it, but, you know, I'm definitely interested. But here's a movie that I can liken to Star Wars in a way, and it's Justice League. So Justice League comes out in less than 2 months, dude. It comes out November 17th, I think.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We haven't had, I mean, we've had
nothing. Maybe
a teaser.
Yeah, but I mean, granted, like, there's a completely different set of circumstances around that. You've had Joss Whedon coming in and essentially remaking the whole film, except for, you know, some pieces that he still left in from the original Zack Snyder cut. So obviously they were on a short time window to be able to kind of finish up filming and then cut together whatever they needed to for promotional stuff or trailers before the movie actually releases. But I mean, we're less than 2 months out, and we don't have anything for Justice League. But the hype is still behind.
That's a good point. Right.
So...
No, you're right. I mean, there's an argument, and if I was running Disney or Lucasfilm, I would be the first one saying, hey, people, why are we even buying any type of advertisement? Period.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need
I mean, let's just tell them a fucking date and time, and people are going to go nuts. They'll probably go even more nuts because we've deprived them of any sort of hints or teases or looks.
Yeah. So, are you one of those people who thinks that, like, too many trailers can be too much? Like, if you release, you know, 5 trailers before a movie comes out, then, like, the fan base...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it has gotten somewhat ridiculous at this point in time. I mean, if you think back even 10 years ago, I mean, you might have gotten 2 trailers, tops.
Yeah.
For a major picture, or, you know, like a summer blockbuster or Star Wars type, maybe 2 trailers, and then you get some TV commercials here or there. But again, you didn't have all the streaming platforms back then and whatnot, so it's almost become like it's almost kind of monopolizing itself, movies and promotions, where you're burning people out on a product before it's even come out.
Yeah, and especially now that Star Wars is on a yearly cycle, I think it's a little dangerous to go heavy with the marketing, especially trailers, because you're getting to a point to where it's, you know, Star Wars is in the theater every year now. It's never been like that before. Even back in the original trilogy days, it was not like that before. So you're dealing with franchise fatigue, a possibility of franchise fatigue. I mean, granted, that's not going to happen for guys like you and me, but for casuals, people who go to the theater once, maybe twice to see this movie, burnout is a possibility. So stemming that in the form of, you know, holding back trailer material, holding back, you know, a lot of promotion until right before the movie releases could be a good way to make sure that the fans don't feel like they're being inundated with it, you know, from, you know, 5 months out or 6 months out from when the movie's about to hit theaters. It gives them time to kind of wind down.
For those fans, all I have to say is go fuck yourself.
You're either in or you're out, people.
Right. If you're just a casual person, fine, I get it. You just don't understand. But, I mean, for people like you and me, I need stuff. I need it. I mean, I need it like a drip or something, like a crackhead, a heroin addict. I mean, I need to see things so I can think about what's to come or what may be. I mean, I want to see everything.
Yeah. And
but I want to see scenes. I want to see flashes. I want to see a fucking trailer.
I mean, another idea for why they're kind of holding back content that I have is maybe they just want to give away as little as possible about this movie.
Well, I know Ryan does. I mean, he's come out and said, "Hey, if I were you, I would avoid everything. I'm sorry, but I cannot prevent the machine that is coming."
I mean, even Mark recently came out and said, "Look, there are going to be comics that release ahead of The Last Jedi that will contain spoilers. Do not read them. Do not read them." He literally told people, like, don't read these comic books. Like,
oh, no, that was a big joke. He was referring to an old comic that had The Last Jedi in it, and it was a big fucking farce.
oh, wait, are you serious? I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, no, trust me, a ton of sites fell for it.
Because, like, yeah, I mean, like, I'd never read the entire story. I just kind of saw the headline that kept popping up in my feed.
It was literally like a 70s or 80s Star Wars comic that had the phrase "The Last Jedi" in it. And a fan asked him about it. He's like, "Stop reading it. There's actually stuff used from that comic in the movie." But it was...
Oh, man, I fell for it, too. I should have done my diligence.
Well, that just, again, goes back and proves that the fact that this tweet was deleted, that it's real. Because Hamill will fuck with you.
Oh, yeah, he does.
On purpose and have fun with it. And he's not going to delete a joke, but he will delete something that he thought could have been a joke, but then the powers that be were like, "Hey, dude, we were kind of saving that maybe to promote on the previous night, Monday Night Football, to get more jazz behind it."
Yeah,
so.
I mean, a reply to a tweet from nobody is not exactly the best way you want to drop that information.
Yeah, fucking Shatorb.
Yeah.
Shatorb Thurgood. That was the guy's name.
He's the source. He's the source inside this.
Fucking Shatorb.
But yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I'm excited that we finally have this trailer coming. I mean, even if it is the only one, I'm just happy that it's finally coming out. So, what do you think the length of this trailer is going to be? You think it's going to be a 2-minute?
Yeah, 2.5, something like that. 2.5, 2:45.
I mean,
and I think we'll get dialogue this time versus a voiceover.
I think we have to, right? I mean, no dialogue. I mean, I would be happy if it was no dialogue because, like, I don't want them to give away anything in this movie. I don't want any information given away. I don't want any plot.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a lot, but I think it'll be similar to any movie trailer or even The Force Awakens where you get flashes of dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
you know, just like the beats, like the ba 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 ba. You're like, all right.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. It's definitely going to be similar to that. It's just, man, I'm stuck in this spot where
or it could be all orchestral, which would be fantastic too.
Yeah,
I know it's going to sound great.
Like I want to know about the plot, but I don't want to know about the plot because I want to go into the movie and I want to be surprised by everything I see, and I want to like feel like I'm living.
Yeah, I don't want to know anything either, but I want to be able to pretend I know at least and do what we do. I want to be able to fucking bullshit about it and speculate on it.
True. Yeah.
I mean, that's all I'm looking for. I'm just looking to fucking...
Oh, dude, we're getting... I mean...
jog the imagination a bit more to just kind of create maybe more theories about what I think's going to happen. I don't want to know what's going to happen, but I want to have the opportunity to sit here and jibber-jabber about what I think's going to happen.
Oh, dude. I mean, for people listening to this podcast who's listened to previous ones where we did trailer breakdowns, like... You know what's coming. Like, when this trailer drops, we're going to have a massive breakdown article on EB, and then we're going to do, an hour-long, probably, podcast breaking down every frame of it. I mean, even down to, like, the colors in the background. What is this material that we see that this character's wearing? I remember in the episode 7 one, there was the scene where where Finn is laying on the ground in the forest after the fight. Yeah, Rey's kind of leaning over him. We didn't know who it was at the time, so like we saw what we thought was like, is that fur? Is that Chewbacca's hair? Could that be Chewie? What happened to Chewie? Is that
totally?
Like we went crazy, and we're gonna do that again for this trailer. I mean, regardless of if there's long dialogue, if there's no dialogue, if there's an orchestral background music, if there's no music, I mean, we're gonna dive deep into it. So be ready, people, because it's October 10th. Whenever this thing drops, our podcast will be right behind it.
There's no doubt about it. So stay tuned to that shit, people. You know what to do at this point in time. Hopefully you draw some sort of entertainment over Nick and I's bullshit and our random tangents we go down. But I mean, we try to give you some sort of formulaic type of show that follows a little bit of structure, but in the end, we can't contain our Star Wars fanboyism, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's shaped us into who we are. It's going to continue to enlighten us throughout life and give us joy. So we just love talking about it. We hope you enjoy listening to us talk about it. So, my man, I think we pretty much hit on the major notes we had to talk about this week. Is there anything I missed or that you wanted to bring up?
No, we definitely hit on all the big stuff. This was a light week in comparison to the last. So I think the last two casts we did ran over the hour mark or right to it.
Well, I mean, that was some pretty huge episode 9 news back to back.
Yeah.
I mean, director fired, director hired.
Yeah, so we had some big news there. But this was a relatively light week for Star Wars news. We still came to you guys, gave you all the info that you need to know. So yeah, I think we hit everything.
All right, rock and roll, people. Well, you know what to do, and that is to stay tuned to the Star Wars Time Show, which you can subscribe to through iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Android, RSS, email. I mean, honestly, fucking YouTube. We've got you covered. You can either find all the links at entertainmentbuddha.com. You can get the YouTube versions on youtube.com/entertainmentbuddha. We're on Twitter @antbuddha. It's all over the place. Just subscribe. And if you like it, listen, let us know. Leave a review. Positive, negative, it doesn't matter. We need some feedback. Rumor has it podcast analytics is on the horizon, so I mean, hopefully we'll get a better picture of who is listening. But to those that are, we honestly love you, and we just want you to know that we always want the Force to be with you, literally, always.